Hello guys, welcome to my channel Mystery Recap. Today I am going to explain 2023 horror movie called Pandemonium. In the middle of the road, Nathan wakes up and realizes he is being in a car accident. His vehicle has crashed on the edge of the road. Yet Nathan does not have a single scratch on his body. At that moment, he is startled by Daniel, the driver of the bike Nathan crashed against. To Nathan's shock, Daniel does not look hurt either. Daniel wonders if Nathan remembers getting out of the car, and Nathan admits he does not. He blames it on the shock and the fact he hit his head on the dashboard. However, there is no wound and he does not feel any pain. Then Daniel drops the big news. They are actually dead and these are their ghosts. He theorizes he died first because he has been there for several minutes, and at first he was in Daniel, but there is no other explanation. Nathan refuses to believe it and goes to check his car, noticing that the driver's compartment is completely stuffed in. A further look reveals his body inside. Shocked, Nathan steps back and starts having an existential crisis, thinking about his friends and kids. Daniel mentions that he will miss his wife and finds it weird that Nathan did not mention the kid's mother. As Nathan continues to freak out, Daniel says this confirms that the afterlife exists and that he feels at peace, which makes Nathan freaks out even more and starts denying everything again. Daniel won't allow it and brings the body out of the car to make him face reality. Since Nathan is uncomfortable, Daniel covers the body's face with a handkerchief. At that moment, a car comes down the road and stops next to the body. Nathan tries asking for help, but the driver can't see or hear him. After using his foot to check that the body is truly dead, the man empties Nathan's pocket, takes the money, and just drives away. Now Nathan finally accepts that he is a ghost and wonders if judgment comes next. He admits he killed his wife but swears it was out of mercy. Before he can say more, Daniel begins hearing music around them. Suddenly a mysterious white door appears in front of them at the same time that the area gets covered in snow. Daniel swears the music comes from that door, but Nathan can't hear anything. They are about to cross when a red door appears behind them. Looking more sinister, Nathan hears screaming coming from this door, but Daniel doesn't. They conclude the white door must lead to heaven and the red door goes to hell, meaning Nathan is being punished for killing his wife. Nathan freaks out again, explaining that his wife had been sick and he only wanted to put her out of her misery. Daniel ignores him and tries crossing his door, but Nathan pushes him and crosses first. However, nothing happens when Daniel mentions he should behave better if he wants to get a better door. Nathan apologizes for not seeing Daniel on his bike while he was driving. In return, Daniel admits he had been distracted by a little girl playing at the side of the road. The men share a hug to say goodbye and Daniel crosses the white door. Yet nothing happens to him either. He tries again to no avail, and he stops hearing the music. A voice speaks behind them and the little girl Daniel saw appears, meaning she is also dead. She mentions that a man on a bike ran into her and Daniel admits he had drunk before driving, prompting Nathan to explain it had not been just an accident. Daniel had been reckless and killed an innocent child. After a short argument, the guys try to guide the girl to the door, but she is being taught not to trust strangers and starts screaming. They fail to calm her down and Daniel gets tired, so he just picks her up and throws her into the white door. The girl immediately disappears and so does the white door. Afterward, the guys accept it's time for them to cross as well. Daniel hesitates a little, so Nathan kicks him in. Before explaining the situation with his wife again, he is certain he did not do anything and refuses to go. However, a huge monster appears on the road carrying souls in its flaming mouth, and a terrified Nathan finally crosses the red door. Then Nathan shows up in hell, where he finds thousands of souls unconscious on the ground. Finding a young girl makes him fall to his knees in shock, and when he grabs her hand, he sees her memories. The girl's name is Jean, and there are creepy shadows in her room. It's normal for her to have trouble sleeping because her parents want to stop arguing about her. The mother wants to help her daughter, however the father is terrified of the kid and thinks they actually need protection. Tired of this, Jean gets off bed and lets her music box play before checking the window. There is a huge tree outside and she blames the creepy shadows on it. Then she goes downstairs for a snack and notices her parents are still arguing about her. She chooses to make the snack herself and squeezes jam on bread slices rather clumsily, although she looks happy to handle a knife. Sometimes later, Jean visits her therapist. She tells the woman how she fed some cookie crumbs to baby birds, causing the mother bird to worry about her kids and fly towards her. Jean reacts by strangling all the birds. She also likes poking her little sister with pens because she hates her and even admits she wants to hurt her parents. Jean knows they are afraid of her because she has hurt them in the past while they were sleeping. Since then, they lock her in her room every night. The therapist wants to discuss what Jean did to her sister, but she refuses to talk anymore. The next morning, Jean is at the table demanding breakfast, but nobody comes. Minutes later, she appears eating a bowl of cereal while her claws are covered in blood. Nearby, her parents are dead on the ground. She double-checks that they are truly gone, then kisses her mother goodbye on the cheek. Next, she makes more bread with jam and goes to the basement, which strangely looks like a huge cave. She gives the food to her friend Tony, a humanoid yet deformed being. Jean thinks Tony killed her parents, but she denies it. While Tony eats, Jean announces that since her parents are dead, he can go upstairs and live with her. Now Tony wanders around the house and is amazed by the feeling of the warm sunlight, which he never saw before. Jean takes him to the bathroom and teaches him how to use the bathtub while she puts on her mother's makeup and jewelry. Once again, Tony is amazed by the feeling of clean water on his deformed skin. Moments later, Tony puts on clean clothes that used to belong to the father and Jean asks him for help to move the bodies. But first, Jean wants to prepare a surprise as a final goodbye. Using her imagination, Jean prepares a place for her parents' bodies in the audience. She tells the story of waking up to no breakfast, imagining an audience laughing at her jokes. Then she uses a chain to drag Tony to the stage, announcing he is the killer and that he will be executed. Tony again denies having killed anyone, explaining he has no memories of his existence before appearing in the cave. Jean makes the crowd vote for his execution and Tony is forced to step on a stool to self-delete. Afterward, Tony hides the mother's body under the double bed, while Jean happily jumps on it, thinking about teasing his parents with a knife while they slept. Soon, Tony brings the father's body to hide it too, and he realizes he can't see himself on the mirror, confirming he is the representation of Jean's dark side and she killed her parents last night. Since either of them can cook, they have cereal and bread with jam for lunch. At that moment, someone rings the bell and Jean opens the door to find the mailman. He needs an adult to sign the delivery, so Jean starts calling for Tony to no avail. The mailman decides to give her a missed delivery card and leaves. Then Jean desperately goes looking for Tony, not finding him anywhere downstairs. As she runs, the creepy drawing she has done through the years are shown. Eventually, she finds Tony in her parents' room feeding on the bodies. She yells to stop it as the door closes. Later, while her toys burst down, Jean checks on her little sister, who is making a drawing about the murder. Jean announces that Tony is hungry and takes her sister to the kitchen, where she pushes her into the oven before turning it on. Then Jean leaves the kitchen singing a happy tune as the shadows follow her on the walls. In hell, Nathan is disgusted by what he just saw and crawls away. He finds a teenage girl and her mother, so he touches them next. The mother is called Julia and in the memory she is trying to make tea. While holding back a breakdown, she calls her daughter's name but she won't answer. Then she notices a dry blood stain on the table. Trying to scratch it off makes her feel worse. Still in denial, Julia goes to the bathroom to take her daughter's body out of the tub, which is filled with bloody water. She continues to cry as Chloe is dragged around like a doll, and eventually she is brought to the kitchen table. Julia serves breakfast for her and talks about possibly going on a vacation together. A flashback from the previous morning shows Chloe in the bathtub trying to buy time. Julia came in and reminded her to hurry up because they could not be late to school every day. Afterward, during breakfast, Chloe kept listening to her mom arguing with co-workers on the phone while staring at a knife. Memories of people violently harassing her at school haunted her, making her life miserable. A quick prick from the knife made Chloe's finger bleed and caused the stain on the table. When it was time to leave, Chloe tried to explain she could not take it anymore and wanted to skip school. But Julia said Chloe was new, so she only needed a bit more time to make friends. Chloe even cried and called school a true hell. Yet Julia thought she was just being a dramatic teenager. In the present, Chloe's body slides off the chair and the cat appears to lick the wound from her self-deletion. Julia scares the pet away and puts Chloe on a wheelchair. While ignoring her phone ringing, she suddenly snaps and announces they are going on a trip before rushing to her closet, where she gathers a few things while having another breakdown. Next, she covers Chloe's body with a blanket and swears she loves her even if she was not always there for her. Julia also announces Chloe was not have to go to school anymore and that she will homeschool her instead. When Julia opens the front door to leave, she is shocked to see it blocked by a brick wall. This triggers another flashback of Chloe trying to hide in a bathroom stall while other girls kept calling her names and kicking the door. Their threats forced Chloe to open the door and they immediately pushed her against the mirror, insulting her before forcing her to her knees. The girls made Chloe lick their shoes while one of them filmed everything. Back to the present, it's revealed the brick wall was representation of Julia's neighbor who has come to visit and thinks she heard Julia scream. A panicking Julia saying they are leaving on a vacation and tries to end the conversation. However, the neighbor notices she is acting weird and bursts into the house, getting a big shock when she sees Chloe's body. Moments later, Julia is driving away with the body on the passenger seat. She cries as she describes the day Chloe was born, promising a better life from now on. Julia keeps begging Chloe to answer her and eventually the reality sinks in. So she finally closes Chloe's eyes. This causes her to get distracted and the car crashes against a tree. As a flashback shows Chloe self-deleting in the bathtub and her mother finding her. Julia wakes up bleeding and notices the firemen breaking the door to get her out. She struggles in their arms, not wanting to leave her daughter behind, while some of the firemen drag Julia away from the car. Others check on Chloe and finds her dead. Assuming for now she died in the accident, Chloe is put in the body bag, ignoring Julia's constant crying and begging. In hell, Nathan covers the bodies of the women and falls on the ground, tired of watching tragedies. At that moment, the devil shows up, announcing he will guide Nathan to his punishment. Once again, Nathan tries to explain that his wife had multiple sclerosis, but the devil points out she had been crazy and did not ask for euthanasia, so Nathan had not had her consent. Then the devil starts guiding Nathan to another area while explaining that the first step in eternal damnation is semi-isolation, so the souls can forget all the memories from their previous life and become pure spirits of pain and despair. Nathan crosses a new door and appears in a dark room with other resting bodies. The devil announces the isolation will last 4,000 years, which is nothing compared to the suffering that will come afterward. As Nathan freaks out, the devil leaves and makes the entrance disappear. Suddenly, a blanket moves and a rotting soul called Billy comes out. Billy thinks Nathan is his new toy and immediately attacks him, smashing his head and throwing him around without a care. Nathan is tossed on the ground and Billy begins beating him up until Nathan stops responding. Then Billy yells in frustration as he realizes he went too far and destroyed Nathan's soul, forcing him to reincarnate. In the real world, a mother gives birth to a healthy baby, while the devil tells Billy that by sending a damned soul back, he has created the Antichrist. The devil punishes Billy by cutting his head off. Then he explains his body will grow back and Billy's new mission is to bring Nathan's soul back. Sometimes later, Billy appears in the baby's room. The movie ends here. Thanks for watching. If you like it, so please don't forget to subscribe my channel.